There you go. Okay, first things first. See, there's a few people in the chat. Can you let me know if you can hear me properly? Uh, yeah, so let me know if you can hear me, and we'll start from there. Do, do, do. You can hear me, P Mouse. Thank you very much. You can hear me loud and clear. Yeah, no Twitch today. No, I decided to do this on YouTube. Usually just the chats, the Q&A stuff, I just do on YouTube, and I keep Twitch for, obviously games, or if I'm working on stuff or editing and that kind of stuff, but just purely chat, because I know there's might be more people who want to ask questions and that kind of stuff. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody, for joining. I see a few more people coming in. And so the idea behind these, and I said many times, every time I do it, I say that I'll do one every 2 months or something like that, and then 4 or 5 months pass, and I forget to do them again. So apologies about that. I think the next one was supposed to happen in, April or something like that. And then I got into Twitch. So the idea is essentially I'm just going to go through the chat and just answer a question and chat with you guys. So if you have any questions, anything you want to know about the channel, the channels, anything you want to know, I don't know, about me or music or anything like that, and we'll go through them. It's just, I like doing them, and people have been have responded well to these. So that's it. That's the idea. I'm just going to go through the chat sequentially, and they last for about 2 hours, maybe more. We'll see. This one might last, just 5 minutes. We'll see. But Vinicius Collie, what's up? How you doing, dude? A lot of people just saying hi and things being said in Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese, I'm afraid, so it's gonna have to be through English only. Even French, if I do speak French, but if you're a French speaker, I encourage you to speak English in the chat. It's just fair for people. Vinicius is saying hello. Ryan Henrique, hello. How are you doing? Rodriguez Montin, salut. How are you doing, dude? Mike, hello. How are you doing? Thanks for joining in, folks. Dead by Daylight. What does that mean? I know it's a game, but yeah. Have I played it? Is that what you're asking? I haven't played it. No. What am I playing at the moment? I'm playing The Last of Us 2. I just got that. It was my birthday a couple of days ago, so Fiona got me The Last of Us 2, and I started playing it, and I'm enjoying it. I'm actually really enjoying it right now. It's not for everybody, but I do enjoy it. So yeah, before that I was playing Days Gone. It looked good, but it just I didn't get a chance to play it much, and I was playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey as well. So that's a long game. I'm sort of halfway through the main quest in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but no, Origins, Assassin's Creed Origins, and I'm a completionist in those games as well. So I just like to get as much as I can, as much side quests and that kind of stuff. So it's gonna take me a while. And Days Gone, yeah, that looked good and cool and interesting. It did feel like a sort of Last of Us meet Red Dead Redemption with motorbikes, something like that, which is probably right in my alley. And obviously Last of Us now. I want to finish that first before I return back to the other ones. But I know there's a controversy around The Last of Us 2, but I did enjoy. I do enjoy what they did with it. So that's me. Any new things cooking? Yeah, well, I'm back home a week now. I had to go to France for a while, for a couple of weeks, and I'm just back this week, so I'm just settling back to just normal stuff. So I started working on more music. I'm actually working on 3 more covers for Norm, the gaming historian, and I think his next documentary is going to be out in in a week or week and a half or something like that. So I actually need to finish the last one. It's a placeholder and is a script at the moment, but I need to finish the last one. And I can't tell you what it is, obviously. I want him to keep that news for himself. But yeah, so I'm working on that, and then I'm working obviously on more covers afterwards. I'm working on my own covers in parallel, and I have some more composition work coming as well. There's actually Ox Venture. I was doing, if you know, outside Xbox, they have a Dungeons and Dragons podcast, and they asked me recently to compose a couple of things for them. I might play them afterwards. I'll see. Compose an intro and an outro for their podcast. So it's like a 10 to 15 second segment. And so they commissioned me. It was a paid work and it was very cool, but they actually agreed that I could share it on the channel at some point. So I might do a video around that, like how the ideas came about and how I got around composing, all that kind of stuff. We'll see. So yeah, I do have ideas. And also the last video you probably noticed was a promotion by Soundrop. It was actually a paid promotion, and Soundrop is, I mean, I've been using them for years, so they reached out and said, would you do a small paid video just to explain how to do to upload stuff. So I said, yeah, that's cool. So I might do more little small ones at the beginning of some videos, like one video a month or something like that, just saying like, this video is sponsored by Soundrops or that type of stuff. But I'm gonna try and make them a bit more interesting. I'll get Simon involved and all that kind of stuff, so that at least it doesn't just look like, it'll be obviously I'll make it obvious that it's a sponsored segment, but I want to make it kind of interesting, funny, like so that people don't want to skip it. Doesn't matter if they go to Soundrop or not, but it just, so it doesn't distract too much from the video. So there's all sort of small bits like that happening in the next few months, a few weeks. I started working on them. And the other channel is it's on hold right now. The 8-bit Manshed, I have to put that on hold for a while, just because of time. I don't quite have time. I see all these. I have a monitor here I need to repair, and I have another 20 monitors I need to repair. But it takes so much time, and it's kind of stuff I like to do in winter when I can't go outside because it's raining. At the moment, it's quite nice and sunny here, so I spend most of my free time outside if I can, or surfing. You probably have seen the blog or the vlog of me surfing. So yeah, there's quite a bit happening, P-Mouse. That answers your question. By the way, usually my answers are long-winded and I get sidetracked and distracted, so bear with me. But yeah, fire more questions, folks, if you have anything to ask about, I don't know, video game music covers, or video game music, or just music or instruments or anything really. We'll go through them, and if there's no question, I'll find things to chat about. Ryan Enrique, game survivor horror. Yeah, you were talking about Dead by Daylight. Zach Bodela. Okay, message retracted. Sorry about that. Well, no, actually, I didn't do that, or it's not a moderated stuff. You did that in your own. P-Mouse, you love the whole idea of The Last of Us, but you can't stand horror, unfortunately. Yeah, I get that. It's not completely a horror. It's quite gruesome, though. I would agree with that. Some of the death and some of the stuff is quite gruesome, but I do like. I mean, for stuff like The Last of Us, is the storytelling that is interesting, and I think their Naughty Dog is traditionally, I mean, controversy aside and all that kind of stuff, they're very good storytellers. So The Last of Us 2 has me hooked in that sense as well, because they have a great way to tell a story. And I've read some people just saying it was just a bad story and all that, but I think people got upset because one of the character, of what happens to one of the character, and I can understand people being upset, but at the end of the day, it's their world, it's their story, and it's for them to tell them whichever way they want. As gamers, we don't own the world, we don't own a license. It's for us to accept what happens in that world and to react accordingly. I think that's the interesting part. What's interesting is how visceral the reaction of gamers is in because of what happened in that game. Because obviously it struck a string, it struck a chord that that transcended the world of the video game. It however unpleasant and quite nasty the reactions are. It's interesting to see how it transcends the video game and goes outside of that realm. Like people like Luciano Silva. Thank you very much. I'm not sure what that means, but thank you. Amiga Ireland podcast, my friend here. Dude, how are you doing? Hope you're well. When I grab bag going to campus. When is grab bag going to Bandcamp? Isn't it there already? Let me check. I thought I'd uploaded it there. Let me double check. Oh, it's not indeed. Actually, I got distracted lately. I was just I was in France. My mother isn't well. She was in hospital, and it's not good. So I was just there for a couple of weeks just to help my brother, just to see her sort of last time, that kind of stuff. I might have to go back. It could be tomorrow. It could be in a few weeks. It could be in a few months. I don't know. But it looks like I have skipped uploading a few of these covers. I need to fix that. Yeah, actually, is Ultima there? Or is it in the Mandalorian album? Let me just double check. No, wow, I've missed quite a few. Okay, I need to. I'll fix that tomorrow. I'll upload it tomorrow. Twilight 75 evening, motherfucker. Good evening, dude. It's funny that motherfucker stuff really has it's catching on. It was just a little silly pun, really. Like it wasn't meant. I didn't mean anything. I didn't mean for it to catch on, but it's just it's coming back to me now. Like people are calling me motherfucker, which is cool, I guess. I like it. It was just supposed to be a little pun on, obviously motherfucker and folk and that kind of stuff, and then it's cool to see it's catching. It's becoming a meme or some sort of a inside joke at this stage. Love it. I should have said suspense instead of horror. I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's quite intense. There's an intense moment. Not so much in the 2 so far for me, but maybe I'm used to the gameplay. Also, the what worked in the first one, which a lot of people criticized the first one for, was the gameplay. Like, it was somewhat awkward to play, but I did like the awkwardness because it just added to the tension. Like, you never felt you were safe, even at the last couple of hours of the game, and it was always somewhat cumbersome. And I did actually think it added to the sense of unease, and you never felt comfortable, with the controls somehow, which isn't quite true in the second one. They've actually fixed a lot of what actually were issues. So the second one is a lot easier to play, control in that sense, but I think it takes away a little bit from that element of tension that you had in the first one. Daftmar, thanks for everything you do. But you're very welcome. I do it because I like doing it. That's really why I play music. I just love playing music. And if I don't like doing something, I stop. I've done that with painting many years ago. I sort of say that every live chat I do, but I used to paint quite a lot, and after a while it became a job. I just wasn't enjoying it. I did that for about 4 or 5 years, and I was quite relatively successful as a commercial artist, but it just it stopped being fun, and I don't know what I was hoping with it. I was just happy to paint for a while, and then I was hoping to become maybe, I don't know, professional commercial artist or something like that. And I just saw a path that where I would need to stop having fun, or it was going to become a job if I wanted to go down another path. So I stopped altogether. And I'm not saying that I would do that with the channel, because I've always loved making music, and even now it doesn't feel like, I'm not full-time, but it doesn't feel like it's a job in any sense. And now I do have, quite a secure job as well, so that I enjoy, and I can do it from home. So it's a different scenario, but ultimately I love the making itself. Hey Nico, how are you doing? Nico was one of the longest standing member of the Discord channel and Patreon as well. How are you doing, dude? It's good to see you again. By the way, the Discord channel, I just I decommissioned altogether. It was taking too much time, distracting me from actually making content and working on stuff, and I spent a lot of time just monitoring, which ended up just being completely counterproductive. All I wanted to do was cement a community there, and I was ending up having to just monitor messages all the time, just monitor the Discord server and the forum, and it just it's not what I was hoping it would be. And so in those cases, it's just best to scrap it and start over, something like that. Not that I have started over a new Discord server. This is a separate Discord server for Patreons, but it's just this one I don't need to monitor really in that sense.
The Cool Guy Club.
That scared the crap out of me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Thank you for Defmar. Thank you very much for the membership, dude. Maybe I should tone those alert boxes down a tiny bit. Just bear with me. There you go. So by the way, I know I'm going to be way behind all the comments and all that, but thank you very much, Dafmar, by the way, for the membership on YouTube. I really appreciate that. It really helps. By the way, it's like Patreon. It does really help. Anything I'm looking forward to? Blue something says, have I got anything I'm looking forward to at the moment? You mean game wise, or just, I don't know, music wise, or anything like that? Maybe just if you can clarify. Detroit Become Human was also a killer story. I haven't played that. I need to actually just play it. So many games I want to play though, and so little time to play them. That's the problem. If I spend time playing a game, it's time I'm not spending playing music, and that's a problem, because ultimately I like playing music probably more than I like playing games. But I remember Detroit Become Human. That's one I wanted to try. That did look good. It looked amazing as well. Yeah, that was interesting. Vampire, Ems, how are you doing, dude? Good to chat again. Happy belated, but thank you very much. Simply says it all, Twilight. Not sure what that refers to, but it probably did. Did manage to get 5 hours of gameplay under your belt so far. Yeah, the gameplay, that's what I was saying. Yeah, the gameplay is a lot more fluid as the part one, and I agree. I agree. I'm slightly upset at a lot of the community and the backlash that went into Last of Us 2. It's unfortunate, but I get that people were upset about some of the choices made in that game, but ultimately it doesn't warrant any of the backlash and any of the comments and any of that stuff. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I did enjoy the game. Well, I do enjoy the game. I need to play it more. I was going to play it on Twitch actually when I got it, and I thought I'd just get my hands on it first and just experience it for myself, maybe, in that sense, without an audience. So I might not go on Twitch with it, but I'll go back to Assassin's Creed Origin and Days Gone on Twitch, because these were enjoyable. Anthony, how are you doing? Something Paco is, I don't know, sorry, it's gonna have to be English on the channel. I can read French, but if you can ask your questions in English, I'll reply in English anyway. But any other language, I can't really help you there. BGO, I want to ask, sorry, Dr. O'Herd, 1994. Have I played Hadaway, What is Love on the Banjo? I haven't, but yeah. Actually, who else asked that a while back? It's actually been asked. Is the banjo hard to learn? Depends. I don't think it's hard to learn. But it's like any instrument. It's even if it's easy to learn, it's hard to master. I mean, define learn. Like I have an accordion, but I wouldn't call myself an accordion player. And you can see me playing accordion on the videos, but I wouldn't call myself an accordion player. I wouldn't go around and say I play the accordion. Is what I mean. It's but. The banjo, no, it's no harder really than a guitar. It depends what technique. I play tenor banjo, which is normally a 4-string banjo, and it's tuned like a violin, an octave lower, or like a mandolin, an octave lower. But I don't think it's like a guitar. So it's played with the plectrum. The bluegrass banjo would be played with fingers, so you need to get that technique down as well. It's just an additional kind of thing to get, but it's no harder or easier than a guitar really. You just need to relearn the position. Like the bluegrass banjo would have a tuning similar to a guitar, like some of the strings are similar. The tenor banjo is completely different. So what I play, it's tuned in fifth, whereas the what banjo is tuned in thirds or something like that. The guitar is tuned in thirds. Mike, if I was stuck on a desert island and could only have one of my instruments, which one would I choose? Probably the mandolin. A few years back, I probably would have said the guitar, but I think I'm sorry. I mean, you can see it on the channel. I've been playing the mandolin more as a lead instrument than the banjo at this stage. In fact, the name Banjo Guy Ollie probably is irrelevant or inappropriate now at this point, because some of the last videos I don't even play the banjo, or it's not even there. So the mandolin, I'd probably bring that. It's small, it's compact, it's tidy, carries well. Ukulele is fun as well. I'm playing that a lot more actually. I'll have that as a lead and a few coming covers as well. But I'd probably bring the mandolin. I do like the sound of that little mandolin in general, and it's just I don't know. I got used to. I know the frets are tiny, but I just got used to it at this stage, and it's to the point that I prefer it to a guitar. It's probably an instrument I pick if I want to just strum away or just mess around. It's probably the instrument I pick instinctively as opposed to the guitar. It used to be the guitar years ago. Would I take the banjo? Probably not. As much as I love the banjo, no, I don't know why. It's don't get me wrong. I love my banjo here, but it's just it's probably not the instrument I would bring on a desert island. You want people to rescue you as well, and chances are, if you have a banjo, nobody will want to rescue you. Anthony, that's a question in French. Okay, I'll read that. But you're feeling that some of nice covers or musics are from less known games. Not necessarily the last covers, actually, because I did Donkey Kong Country and a lot of Mario and that kind of stuff. But I know what you mean. Yeah, I do like doing stuff from probably less popular games or less known games, stuff that isn't Nintendo or JRPG, or do you know what I mean? Like, the trend is in VGM is a lot of people do Final Fantasy stuff, they do Nintendo games, they do, it's that kind of stuff. And there's plenty of people who do it really well, and also I'm actually older than a lot of the VGM artists, so I remember some of the tunes that a lot of these artists don't necessarily have an appreciation for. So I like doing them, and again, I'm not motivated by views. I know it's easy for me to say now at this stage, because I've been around for a while, and I've so many subscribers, but I never was. I did obscure stuff from the start, and I'll keep doing obscure stuff. Now, like, I still want to do a lot of Amiga and MSX stuff and Sega stuff. So yeah, it's just I ultimately I don't care for views. And it just if I want to do it, I'll do it. It's that simple. And if I like the music, I'll do it. And it'll be very easy for me to do a lot more views if I covered anything from Final Fantasy. If I had covered more Undertale or Deltarune stuff, or Persona 5, these kind of games, if I covered anything from there, I know, or Pokemon, I know I'll do a lot more views. I've no interest. I haven't played most of these games, and there's plenty of other people doing it, and they do it really well. So, Cat Pikachu or something like that. Again, I'm afraid I don't read your language, so and looks okay. I'll dude, I think you're getting banned. There you go. Because I scroll down the feed, and there's a lot of unpleasantness going. So goodbye. Now let's go back to where was I? Nico, you're doing fine. Cool. And Vampire and Nico having a conversation there in the chat, so no problem. Dafmar, oh yeah, you didn't mean to frighten me. But yeah, that alert scared the crap out of me. I have that set up. I'm just using my Twitch setup essentially on YouTube, so I have those alerts set up as well for YouTube, and I've forgotten I had them set up. But there you go. Vampire and Nico are having a conversation, but you're going to take a break from the internet for a month or so. That's not a bad idea. I think our friend Bard from the Days of the Discord server did that, and yeah, he was eager to just take a break. Sometimes it's good to stop and just I do that. I've actually deleted a lot of groups that I was a member of on Facebook. In fact, I've shied away from Facebook a good bit, and even Twitter. I just I usually post stuff I've done, but I try not to interact too much with topics on Twitter or anything like that. Social media in general is a bad idea. And there's a lot of flexing, there's a lot of unpleasantness, and especially at the moment, it's just it's a very it should be a very cathartic time, and it's actually a very, very angry, and a lot of people just I don't know, expressing their frustration in probably misled ways, and but that's not you. That's just the nature of what Twitter has become, and Facebook, and so I tend not to engage on that. That was part of the reason I stopped the Discord server as well. Like, if I want to talk with somebody, I'll PM them, that kind of way, and it's usually easier and healthier to do it that way if you have something to say. Otherwise, if you're just broadcasting your opinion unsolicited, which is what social media is in general, then you're just you're asking for that sort of confrontation. That anyway, I'm just rambling. Blue something. Sorry for not clarifying. What are you looking for in terms of music? Maybe an album, something like that. Well, I just released the Amiga album and the Sega album just there during the 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 lockdown, and I had also the Mandolinian album out. So that was yeah, that was oops, what happened? Oops, sorry, my chat just freaked there. So yeah, there was those three albums released so far this year. But yeah, I do have. There's something I'm looking forward to that should have been out already, and I think it got delayed. But it's something I will be on. Um, at it's related to another big project I did in 2000 and at the end of 2018, and it's sort of a follow up on that in a way. I can't say too much because I'm under DNA. So but and but otherwise, yeah. There's a collaboration I did with the Game Brass actually, on a Battletoad cover, and so I'm looking forward to seeing the video. Actually, they'll probably let me put a small extract of their video on the channel, so I'll do that and I'll refer to the video. So if people want to watch the whole stuff, but so I'm looking forward to the finished product. I know what my part sounds like, but I want to hear it with all the brass and all that kind of stuff. Ryan Henrique, again, not sure what that means. We got a lot of deleted messages from that Cat Pikachu guy that I banned. Sean Martin, he glad you caught me. You love the music. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dude. Sorry, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in Portuguese there. Sorry about that. I really I can't read or speak Portuguese. So, Twilight 75. Your grandparents had you learning the mandolin when you were 6 years old. They thought they'd do me a favor as it's as smaller as a guitar. Yeah. Um, well, then constantly playing. Yeah, it wasn't fun. Fair enough. Yeah, it's hard to you do. It's a bad idea to try and force young kids to play an instrument, and because then it's not like when you have to as a kid, then it's not fun. So it's it becomes a chore, it becomes a job, it becomes you want to make it fun for a young kid to learn an instrument, and unless you're engaged with them, like if you just tell them you're going to learn this and go to lessons and like for an hour every day or every week, you're going to sit in that little room and practice, and where's the fun in that? That's not music, and that's it shouldn't be how you want to learn music. It should be fun. So unless you're ready to engage with your kid and just make it fun for your kid to learn an instrument, and make it relatable, you wanna make it so that they enjoy, like learn it with them, for instance, or pick an instrument that you don't play and that you want them to play, but pick an instrument that you don't play and learn it with them, because that way they'll be able to relate to you. You'll be able to enjoy it together, which is really important. It'll have a context, and also you'll get to see how tough it can be. If you get frustrated with your kid because he's not learning the instrument properly, well then try to learn it yourself first, and see how hard it can be and how tedious it can be to learn an instrument. So it's usually the advice I give to parents when parents ask me, like, what should I get my kid to play an instrument or something like that. I said, well, yeah, it's a good idea, but make sure you learn that instrument yourself with them, or make sure you pick an instrument that you don't play and learn it with them. That part is really important. Always put yourself in somebody else's shoes. PMAS, you love playing the UK with the lower G string for some jazz melody. Yeah, the lower G string, interesting. So, on that high top string, you just put a low G string. It's essentially a guitar. It's a 4-string guitar. It's same tuning. I know some of the larger ukulele can be tuned like essentially a 4-string guitar. Realistically, Akibrew, realistically, you would probably want to take an instrument that has a well reflected surface on the desert island. Yeah, the problem if it's a tropical and warm island is your instrument will dry and delaminate and just pop. It happened to me too. I have this Puerto Rican Quattro. I can't move the camera. Actually, I have another camera. There. There you go. I have this. Where is it? This here, Quattro, and you can see the bridge here is sort of. No, you can't see it because I haven't done the transition. There you go. This here Puerto Rican Quattro, and the bridge is it looks funny. It's because I left it in my car for too long, and and it overheated and pops. The bridge literally just snapped. So instruments will do that if you leave them in the sun, in a warm environment for too long. The glue will disintegrate. Sampler Monico, you got yourself an analog synth, a stylophone. Got a start mode. Small, yeah. I got one of those. I actually got one of those. It's fun. You could technically make a cover. I think somebody has done a cover. There has to be somebody who's done stylophone covers. Of course, there has to be. It's the internet. What am I saying? Yeah, if you just do sort of a even I was going to say stop motion editing, but even without just standard just playing, you could technically do covers of whatever you want on the stylophone. D4X DAX or Remix. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that properly. By the way, I'm useless with internet nicknames. I usually just get it wrong. If you follow me on Twitch, by the way, you should follow me on Twitch. I'm going to put the link here. But if you follow me on Twitch, you'll notice that I get people's name wrong all the time because I can't pronounce or can't read when I'm doing something else. Keep up the good work. We have the same path, keeping old school alive. There you go. Yeah. Same path, you mean gaming wise? So you would have had what? MSX. Well, that's what I had. I'd we really have to lower those alert boxes. Just bear with me. And that's somebody joining on Twitch. So what I had was the MSX, then the Amiga, then I had the PS1, with a Sega Master System in between as well. That was given to me by a friend. And then I got a PC. I won my first PC. It was a Pentium 3, one of those big compact professional PC. I won it at work. There was a raffle for Christmas, and my name was pulled out. There was 2 computers to win. It was with the monitor. Like, it was a big thing at the time. That was the first year the GeForce 2 came out. And is this super loud? Let me just... With the monitor. Yeah, it's not too bad. And sorry about that. And yeah, so the first year the GeForce was out, and the company beside where I worked in Dublin, it's a company called Symantec, but beside it was Creative Labs, and I ended up being very good friends with a girl who worked there, and I got graphic cards and Creative Lab stuff for quite cheap, if not free for a while. And then I didn't. But yeah, so I got the PC and I got to put a GeForce in, and I think the first game I played with it was Vampire the Masquerade. Yeah. By the way, thank you very much, people who just subbed on Twitch. I do a lot of streaming on Twitch, a few times a week anyway. Usually during the day, I just stream the entire content of all my covers. Like, it's a 6-hour long video, and then I'm just usually there in the chat, just typing replies to questions and that kind of stuff, and chatting with people. But in the evening, I'll either be making music, or just doing some video editing and that kind of stuff, or maybe playing a game. But I like to whenever I'm composing or whenever I'm editing music and that kind of stuff, I like to do it on Twitch. So if you have an interest in that, just make sure you sub on Twitch, or you follow me at least. Sean Martin, what are the hardest songs to figure out? Do you transpose them yourself or use tab sheet music? So sheet music, I can't read music. I'm not being facetious. I can't read music. I'm being facetious. I could decipher music, but that's what would happen. I would decipher music. So I don't use sheet music. Tabs. I mean, find tabs for Amiga stuff. So usually I just use MIDI files or convert stuff into MIDI. Like a lot of stuff, the Deltarune, the Undertale stuff, when I did them, there was no MIDI at the time, so I made a MIDI by ear. I mean, it's a lot of hours just spent listening to just the bass line and then just the chords and just the melody and that kind of stuff and reconstructing the MIDI. In fact, I did that recently on Twitch, on Leander, that Leander cover, and I did post a video on here. It didn't do well, interestingly, but I think it went largely. I suppose it wasn't. The title probably wasn't very interesting, but if you go back into my video feed, let me just see if I can find it again, grab it. And it was just a quick edit on how I was editing a MIDI file from a mod file on the Amiga. Where is it? There you go. I'll put the link here. Oops. No, I'll put the link in the copy link address. Come on. So that's sort of my process, what I just posted. So if you're interested in that, but it's just, MIDI files are handy because I play everything by ear, really. So it's easier for me at this stage to just do everything by ear than actually going back and learning how to read music. And I've become quite proficient in that. Factorum Dimensionum, I would just like to know this. Are you having a nice day? Yeah, I had quite a pleasant day. I was on the roof, a flat roof, and I was just putting some ceiling paint just to prevent dampness from going in. I was in the sun all day. It was very enjoyable, and now I'm chatting to people on the channel. Nico, even if it's not totally analog, the stylophone, it's quite similar. Yeah, it's a fun little thing. I actually got one. I found one at a charity shop or a flea market or something like that years ago, and it's fun. It's actually a fun little thing. Daphmar, again, thank you very much for the YouTube membership. You love my thought on Trials of Mana OST. Some of the tracks think you like. I haven't played it. I don't quite know the OST. Is it related to Secret of Mana then? It's not a game or a series I know well. There's actually stuff I want to go back to before that, which is all the Chrono Trigger OST and Chrono, well, that series, yeah. And then Suikoden as well. There's a lot more Suikoden I want to do. And then maybe I'll move to the Mana series, but we'll see. Usually JRPGs aren't quite my thing. I just don't have the time to invest in playing a JRPG. So I'm very ignorant on all the Final Fantasy stuff and all the music. I know it's got some really good music. It's just I haven't had a chance to play them, and I probably will never because I just don't have the time. Same with stuff like from Xenoblade and these kind of games. I just don't have the time to invest in playing them, which is unfortunate, but it's just the way it is. If I did, I wouldn't be able to play to make the covers. it's that simple. Hacky Breeze, like a good grandpa, you get to hang out with every weekend. Thank you very much. Twilight, social media is mostly toxic. Yes, it is. And And not it's interesting. It's toxic just by its nature, not by anything people do. I mean, it's quite natural to express your opinion. It's just when you got so many opinions being expressed, either rightly or wrongly, it just becomes a toxic environment. That's just what happens. Um, and yet, I can't say. I mean, I use social media. I promote my stuff on most platforms, and if it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't be able to go where you. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. This is social media, So it's a double-edged sword. I think you just have to learn how to use it properly. Mikey Dax is working on anything new. Yeah, some discussion, about social media. Um, this is what you hear. Choose what I want. Yeah, I think that's key. Just choose what I tend to follow people. You'll find that people who just do stuff. If you follow people that do actual things, tangible things. I know music isn't quite tangible, but you understand what I mean. Like if you just follow, sorry, I was going to say drama channels, but if you just opinion sort of opinion angle type of channels, it's not a healthy pursuit, and it's not. It adds to that sort of toxicity in general, even if they're quite informed and moderate. I personally prefer following people who do stuff or who produce an end result and show the process. That's what really I'm interested in. In podcasts and that kind of stuff, I do listen to a couple when I'm working, but it's just to have stuff in the background. It's like having the radio, really. But I don't pay too much attention to it. Certainly don't follow stuff like opinion or news oriented podcasts or that kind of stuff, or drama oriented stuff. It's not my thing. I know it's popular, but it never was my thing. I think it's too much attention is given to people who talk about stuff and not enough to people who make the stuff. When a review channel is more popular than these things it reviews, it tells you something about how toxic the environment is. The Forex remix, you're working too much on the 9 remix albums. Oh my goodness. I can't say that much. Wow. 30 years later, oh yeah, that's in relation to the mandolin. Dropkick Murphys, Flogging Molly, and co. Open your eyes to what you really can do with the mandolin. You'll be surprised what a real virtuoso can do on most instruments. It's just and an instrument is what you do with it. Like if you listen to obviously Chris Tiley is a good example, but it just what I wanted to avoid when I did the channel was to play banjo music on the banjo or play bluegrass. I certainly didn't want to do that, because I just wanted to bring those instruments outside the realm of their comfort zone. So it's quite possible to do quite avant-garde stuff, or quite, I was going to say controversial, but stuff that the instrument isn't necessarily designed, or what you think it's not designed for, like video game music, like rock or that kind of stuff on the mandolin or the banjo. It's just how you use the instrument really that matters, and what context you use it in. And unfortunately, stuff like the banjo or the mandolin have been stigmatized and got attached to a certain context. Country music, blues, bluegrass, and that kind of stuff. So that's what people expect to hear when they see them. So that's why when people say, "Oh, you should do stuff from, I don't know, name a video game that has some banjo style music in it," I go, no, I especially do not want to do that. And they're like, well, but it'd be, it'd be so obvious, and it'll be a perfect fit. I say, yeah, no, it's exactly why I don't want to do it. I don't want it to be a perfect fit. I want to find a way to make the banjo work for Mega Man or Castlevania, or you know what I mean. It's or Metallica or that kind of stuff. That's where it's interesting. If it's just to play bluegrass music, where's the fun in that? At least for me. You can make nice tune like Iron Man from Black Sabbath on the stylophone, but that's what I'm talking about. Doing stuff that it's probably not meant to do, but it just there's a sense of satisfaction in doing things like that. Daphmar, that was you on Twitch. Yeah, you said that to you and scared the shit out of me tonight. But thank you for the follow, man. Will you be doing any more Ultima Music or even Quest for Glory series? Yeah, I might. I want to do more PC stuff for sure. I want to do some Commodore 64 stuff and some more old DOS PC games. So, but again, I mean, there's so many games I want to do. This year, I'm probably going to do, at least for the next few months, sort of upbeat tunes. It's been rather rough couple of months, and plus everything that's happened in the world. I'm just trying to have upbeat stuff for both for myself and for people on the channel. Just that's why I've been doing a lot of Donkey Kong Country, of some Mario stuff coming. Probably gonna do some Zelda stuff. It's just I'm gonna try to have some fresh and upbeat stuff. At least for the next couple of months. I just think people need some levity and some stuff to chill. Thank you, Windows. But yeah, no, I want to do more Amiga stuff. I want to do more PC DOS stuff, and I want to experiment with some C64 tunes. I have ideas. I'm not sure how to implement them. But yeah, we'll see. Nighthawk, Earphone, thank you very much, dude. Thank you. Sulfur oxide by ear is the best. Well, it's funny. Like when I say, like, I come from like the traditional scene, which everything would be done by ear. Like, so you'd learn a tune by ear, and some people can read music, but that's all really I've known, learning by ear. But think about it, you could speak before you could read or write, and you could actually speak quite well before you could do either. So there's no reason why you can't just, and in fact, if you hadn't learned how to read or write, you would, chances are you'd probably evolve into somebody that can speak quite well and quite eloquently. Like, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to. And sometimes you meet somebody who can't read well, can't write well, but is speaking like you and I. That's just the way it is. So same with music, it's just writing and reading it is just a way to transpose it from your head down to paper, so it can be transmitted. That's the idea behind writing. So, but same with music, it had to be formalized, written down, so people could just transport it long distances, or have it stored somewhere. Otherwise, things would be forgotten unless they were rehearsed and practiced and passed on. So yeah, there's a certain advantage to being able to read and write music, but it's you can do quite well without it. It's not the same as saying music theory. You shouldn't learn music theory. I think you should have some understanding of music theory. And there's degrees of advancement and proficiency, but you should have some basic understanding of music theory. But reading, writing, I would debate a lot of people as to whether it's required or essential or not. I don't think it is. Have I ever tried to recreate VGM tune from old memory without listening to it? Got quite interesting when I tried, quite instant, but also pretty different. Yeah, well, it's not what I'm trying to do, but I know what you mean. It would be a fun exercise, and you'd probably end up, if I did something like that, I probably would end up changing direction halfway and making whatever I've come up with my own then composition. That's usually what happens. But my goal is to make a cover, and make the cover as respectful and as identical is not the right word, but as respectful of the original one. At least respect the spirit as opposed to just the original instrumentation. So it's a different exercise, but it could be fun. It would be fun. I would fully expect that you'd get sidetracked halfway and come up with something completely different. Sean Martin, thanks for answering. No problem. Thank you very much, dude. Glad I'm having a good day, Factor. Stop by. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you very much. Thanks for stopping by, dude. Lonely Wolf Boy, what is my favorite instrument? My favorite instrument. So earlier somebody was asking me what I would bring on a desert island, and I said the mandolin. However, my favorite instrument is probably the my set of flutes, whistles. It's probably it's one of the most expressive set. That's the thing I have. I have this piece of wood. I just dug holes in it. But I have all these whistles in different keys. Some low whistle. There's a lot of stuff in there, and it's probably my favorite instrument because it's so expressive. I love the flute. Like before, my first instrument is the guitar. My second is the flute. I think banjo, mandolin bouzouki is the third. I learned then banjo, mandolin afterwards with the channel, and then it was the accordion after that, and then the bagpipe and all that kind of stuff. But it's probably the flute. I'd have to say. It's definitely the kazoo, says Nico. You monster. Yeah. Dax Remix, you're super entertaining on top of your music. That's it, what I counted for. That link leads to your all-time favorite C64 tune. The link I just shared, okay. To your own tell, which one is that? So far there's no really worthy remix being done. Of what, Leander? I'm confused. What do you mean, Twilight? P-Mouse, absolutely excellent explanation about music versus reading, writing, and speaking. It's just at this stage. I mean, I've gone by 45 years, just by year. So yeah, how does banjo compare to a guitar? That's such a wide question, dude. In what respect? I mean, it's tuned differently, and the banjo I use it's a 5-string tenor banjo, so it's tuned in C, G, D, A, E. It's completely different from a guitar, so you have to learn new fingering. It's like a violin, and so that's the banjo I use. And I use a plectrum like a guitar, but the bluegrass banjo, which is different again, uses those hand finger picks or sometimes the claw hammer technique. So it's just it's different. It's a different approach. I mean, fundamentally the technique isn't strictly different. It's just the guitar is devised so that you can do really fast runs easily, because the gap that you have to go between each string is limit. It's not a huge gap, like it's in thirds, so you can skip strings really easily through one scale. On the banjo it's a bit trickier. You have to do 1, 2, 3, 4 notes on the same string before you can skip to the next string in that scale. So it gets a bit trickier, but It's just you play different stuff. You play differently, you know. You got sidetracked. I nearly ended up on the beach with a mandolin. All right. It's out of a demo, no game soundtrack. Fair enough. Can you shred on a banjo? I'm sure somebody. If you listen to Chris Tiley on the mandolin, he pretty much shreds. I mean, he does sweeping, he does a lot of stuff, and there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to do that on the banjo, because or a tenor banjo at least, because it's similar tuning. Can you shred? Would you want to shred? That's the question. Why would you want to shred on the banjo? Also, if you bluegrass banjo would have those really fast runs, so you can actually technically play a lot faster than you would on the guitar, you know. But it's not designed for shredding, not in that sense. Also, it's same with guitar. You know, can you shred on an acoustic guitar? The question is, would you want to? You know, have you a valid reason to do that? You can shred on an electric guitar because that's exactly what it's for. Yeah. So yes and no. I mean, it's different. It's if you want to shred, probably the banjo is the wrong instrument. PMAS people can say, if people say it can't be done, I will refer them to Rosenberg Trio. Top-notch jazz, yeah, but none of them can read a single sheet of music. Yeah, exactly. It's just music is a language, you know, and it's a way of communicating emotions. And technically, you don't need a book to do that. You don't need to read, especially if you're reading stuff. If you're reading music as you're playing it, you see classical musicians reading music. They're reading and they're not reading it. They know the tune. They've rehearsed it. They just use that as a guide or a guideline or a point of focus, but they're not reading it as they're playing it. Not to say they can't sight read, but the expression you get when you know a piece, when you've learned it by heart and you know each note and how long every silent is and that kind of stuff, you just can't get that by just reading it the first time. So it's a tool, but it shouldn't be the thing you rely on to play music or to learn music. How loud is an acoustic bass guitar? I don't know. I don't have an acoustic bass guitar. I have the U bass, and it's not loud at all. I mean, it needs to be amplified really. That little U bass I have, if I play it now, you'll barely hear a thing. It's not designed to be played acoustically. Really, it's you need to plug it in. You get that acoustic sound because of what it is, but it needs to be plugged in. How loud? Oh my, had tomatoes in my ears apparently again. Okay. Can you shred on acoustic guitar? Listen to Tommy Emmanuel. Yeah. Oh no, I know Tommy Emmanuel, and it's not shredding. He's just a very fast player, and he's very proficient in technical playing. Shredding is different again, and trust me, there's when electric guitar players talk about shredding, it's a different stuff. I'm a big fan of Tommy Emmanuel. Like I learned a lot of his tunes. The what is it called? That's Lady Madonna and what was the other one? I used to play those a lot. I played that live once. I'd be fucked if I can play it again though. No, actually, I've said I don't play live music on this. You actually know quite some classical musicians who really don't know the music and need the sheet music, which doesn't make sense to me. Well, then they're bad musicians. You need to know the music. They don't need to know it because they read it. And that's my problem I have with reading it, because then if you rely on it, you don't know the music. I'm sorry, you might be a very, very proficient musician and reader, and have the finger dexterity, but you've missed something essential about what it is to play music, and I feel sorry for you. I actually do, because you've bypassed the entire point of playing music. you have an acoustic bass P mouse, and it's okay for living room, but it's not very loud. Yeah, yeah, those long basses you still need to have them amplified. This is why I got the U bass, because I was like, I will need an amp anyway if I want that sound. I need an amp regardless, and if I'm going to use an amp and not have it just being strictly acoustic, then I'm going to go for a small form factor, and so the U bass was perfect for that. Mar, oh, I'm so sorry I can't read your name, but hello, friends from Russia. How are you doing? We get one or two people, person from Russia every time I do one of these. It's really cool. D4, is it D4X or is it DAX remix? I'm really sorry. I'm showing my ignorance here. Now where you talk about banjo, I'm actually working Pinball Dreams. Sweet. Oh, that's a cool tune. Maybe I should order some banjo loops from you and we do feature remix. No, I just said I don't do banjo sound stuff. So I can't help you there. But also those are 5-string bluegrass banjo runs, which is different from what I have. What I have is a tenor banjo, and I can't do those runs. It's not tuned to do those runs. May I know what amplifier I'm using when I do a cover? The bass is loud and bass frequency is low. I don't use an amplifier. I just run this through my just mixing desks. Let me just show you. So this is my mixing desk here. So I just run everything. This is actually my bass thing, and as you can see, I don't have any of the settings set on any kind of different level. This is the voice or the instrument. Sorry, the when I record live instrument, like for flutes or the mandolin or that kind of stuff. This is just the U bass, and it's not set on anything. It's just I do a lot of stuff in post production. So, okay, let me kill this. Come on. So I do a lot of my leveling in post-production, so I would crank up the bass. I record as dry as I can, so everything is as raw and dry as possible, and then I can change stuff in post-production afterwards. So I would crank up the bass quite loud and isolate that bass so that no other instrument, there's no bleeding between the frequencies. Between instruments, so I would if I use the bass, I'll keep that bass, but if I use the bass as well from the accordion, I'd actually use it at a slightly different range so that it doesn't bleed over the bass and everything is clear. So 'cause sometimes there's a lot of instruments and people tell me like, how come everything is clear when there's like 15 instruments playing at once? That's because I'm very particular about what frequency I use for each instrument, so I just make sure that I separate the frequency so you get the whole soundscape is covered and nothing bleeds over too much. And I make mistakes sometimes, but so that's why you can hear most instruments quite clearly typically. It's because they don't bleed over each other frequency wise. I literally would go into the equalizer in post production for each track and just crank up that thing and just lower everything else. And most engineers will tell you that's bad practice or that it's a bad idea. It works for me. That's what I'm doing. So yeah, I've no amplifier on anything. Day Tripper, that was it, yeah. You should try impulse response with that U bass. You will sound like a full double bass. What's that impulse responses? I'm not sure what that is. Is that a VST or is it just a technique, or I'm not sure what impulse responses is. You will sound like a full double bass, really awesome. Yeah, so actually you can, well, the thing is very close to the sound of a double bass, but it's just, I have ways to make it sound even more like a double bass. Is just because of what I just explained. If I did, it would slightly overlap onto the low mid and I try to avoid those overlaps. But I would do that. Actually, that's probably because I'm working on something that has just ukulele and bass. That might work there. So I'm curious if you have anything to send me. Just send me an email. I think the email address is on the channel. If you go to about, there's the email address. I'm curious about that. That's probably going directly into the USB audio device. Yeah, that's what I was just showing. Yeah. Dax, it's Dax. Okay, yeah. Since so much people are using the name, I should. Fair enough. Yeah, I did figure that's what it was. Thank you, Robocod. Thank you, Mr. Audi. No problem. P Mouse says it's actually very easy and cheap to record stuff yourself nowadays. That is so true, and I say that a lot. It's my first 5-10 covers were just done with one of these mobile phone. It was a what was it? It was an iPhone 4 at the time. Now they're even better, with better mics, with better camera, stuff that is just actually. I'm using this Canon 60D here as a webcam. This guy has a better camera than this. The only reason I use this is for the field of view and the just that focus and that kind of stuff. But realistically, you can record very good covers and very good music with this, and it's what I've done at the beginning of the channel. That's all I had, and then I got this mic, which is Joe Meek JM27, which was the cheapest one in the shop at the time. I think that was like 70 quid or 60 quid or something like that. And then I had an M-Track audio interface just to plug that in, the 2-channel one. Again, that was like just 60, 70. And my camera was still my phone for a while. And then once I could afford a Canon camera, I got that. And this desk gear that I'm using now, I got that at the end of last year. So until then, I was using a 2-track M-Audio interface. So you can do quite a lot. I mean, I did do a video of my setup here. Just if you go back on the channel, go back a few videos. There's this room and what I use to record, and it's quite minimalist, to be honest, but it's already an upgrade from what I had initially. So yeah, it's very easy to record stuff yourself, and you can do quite a lot with very little. In fact, it's probably more fun and rewarding to do it that way first, and then just get incremental upgrades. I still don't have mixing speakers, and these are my mixing headphones, and as you can see, they're being held by tape. Actually, I don't need them in 3 places, because these are broken, and these are not even mixing headphones. They're just generic Philips headphones. You can't read it, and that's what I do my mixing with. So yeah. Tezach, or whatever way it's pronounced. Just wanted to say I really like your work. Thank you very much. You've been watching for a while. I always look forward to the covers. Thank you very much, dude. There's more coming. I've been otherwise preoccupied in the last few weeks, but I'm back making music. I've made 2-3 covers now for Norm for his next documentary, so that's coming out very soon. I think it's a matter of, it could be next week or the one after or something like that. It's coming out this month, so there'll be 3 covers of mine there, and I'll release them on the channel in the next few weeks or month. But I want to have another cover before that, which I haven't started yet, so there probably won't be a cover next week again. I just need to get back into the working mode, but yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I just need to get back into the flow of things, which I am, but as far as this channel is concerned. PMAS, so you have to Google impulse responses. A bit too much to explain. Fair enough. It's the frequency response plus phase that you can subtract from your own signal to get the same sound. Said quick. I think I understand what you mean. Yeah. Something funny I do with phase is most of my lead instrument is doubled. So if I have a lead on the mandolin, I just double it and I have it 50%, between 40 and 60% right and left panned for each separate tracks. It just gives you that just really strong presence of the lead. Even if the lead is way down in the mix, it just gives it a lot of presence, and also it gives it a lot of better tone. It means I can, especially on the mandolin, I can really lower the highs, so you don't get that very, very sibilant sort of a sound from the thinner strings. You get that wooden tone, and you can still keep that wooden tone. But what I also do is I invert the phase of one of the tracks, so it just phase inversion is not something that you can actually show. It just it gives it that sound that my lead have, and that's what I do for these. I don't do that on the backing track. I double the bouzouki backing track, or triple it sometimes, and I have hard right, hard left, and one center one. I keep the phase there, but for the lead, I like to invert the phase. It gives it a slightly different nature that you might not expect from the instrument. It's very subtle, and probably I'm the only one who notices it, but I like it. I like it, but I do that as well for if I import stuff from like especially bass lines from a Pro Tracker into a DAW. I like to double the bass line and invert the phase and shift the phase so it's not silent. So I shift the phase slightly on the inverted one, and it gives you that really crunchy type of bass, especially if I'm using obviously a square wave for the bass. I like doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I looked that up. I'm actually very curious about that. So, Jerry Roger, hey, how are you doing, dude? Do I know Cacophony? Martin Friedman, Jason Becker. I don't. I'll look them up. Richard Belmont, cool name, dude. You're replying to Robocod. Fair enough. Depends on the sound system you're using. I think the only thing that is really going to set you back when you're sorry, my voice is starting to go. It usually happens in those things because I tend to talk a lot on my own. But if you if you want to make music, the only thing that really is going to set you back money wise is the DAW, the digital audio workstation, work something. It's your whatever music program you're using. Whether I use Acid Pro, and you can find cheap versions of that. In fact, if you go to Humble Bundle, very often they would have something from Magic Software, even Music Maker, things like that. You can actually make decent covers and different music with something like Music Maker, which is quite cheap. Right now, I mean, Acid Pro is there's pros and cons, and you don't see it in the list of recommended DAWs, but I've been using it for, I don't know, 20 years or whatever. I used the first one when it came out, and then I've been using that ever since. I've tried Cubase. I don't quite like the workflow on this. Audacity. You can use Audacity as well. It's not as flexible, but absolutely Audacity works great. PMouse. GarageBand, if you have a Mac, GarageBand is free, and in fact, once again, I use GarageBand for my first few covers. I had a MacBook, whatever, MacBook something, an old one, and GarageBand was free on there, and I was using that, and it worked great for my first 10 covers when I had the iPhone. So I recommend that. I love Logic. I love Logic Pro, but I don't have a Mac anymore. I think if I had the money to upgrade, and I could get a new PC, I'd probably buy a Mac with Logic Pro and just dedicate that workstation to just audio and use this setup. for gaming and just, you know, whatever. But yeah, I'd love Logic. I miss Logic. And the workflow in Logic was very similar to Acid Pro. I really enjoyed this. I tried Cubase. Can't get used to it. Everything is just awkward, and I don't like it. Don't like it. Reaper. My problem with Reaper is the MIDI, the general MIDI stuff. Because I use MIDI a lot, and for some reason on my computer I can't get rid of the latency in Reaper. I can't get rid of the latency for MIDI, so I don't. I tried using Reaper. I tried to upgrade from Acid Pro to Reaper, and I keep going back to Acid Pro. If I had the money, I'll probably get a Ableton Live. It's surprisingly, from the trial version I used, it worked well for a couple of covers. I've done a couple of covers and a couple of compositions on Ableton Live, and I do like the interface, and it's very multiple monitor friendly in that sense. But so far, Acid Pro, I know everything in Acid Pro. I know every button, every shortcut, and it just, whenever I use something else, I really have to struggle. It takes me forever to get used to something else. So it's going to be Acid Pro for another while, I think, for me. Which is fine. Then again, if I use the same audio interface as anybody else, if you use the same tools as everybody else, you're going to sound like everybody else, is usually my point. I think one of the reason people say I sound different is because I use a workflow that's different from most people. I use equipment that's different from most people, and I use instruments that are different from most people. So it's just, there's a reason why, you know, it's if you watch videos of advice on how to use this, what to use for this and that, you follow them, you're gonna end up sounding like everybody else. That's usually my what I've observed. Yeah, Audacity, the more discussion. I've seen people using a Raspberry Pi as a guitar FX pedal as well. Wow, now that's really cool. Yeah, of course. Why couldn't you be? Yeah, that's that'll be an interesting. Actually, I have a few Raspberry Pis, and could Arduino be used as well in that respect? Actually, that's something I want to look into. Arduino audio stuff. I know Look Mum No Computers uses Arduino for a lot of his stuff, but it's in a setup that's sort of expected for an Arduino. But for effects, for analog instruments, in that sense, for acoustic instruments, that could be interesting. I need to look into that, actually. Thanks, P Mouse. We have a few things to look into. Thanks to you. Yeah, Audacity, offensive username. How are you doing, dude? Thanks for dropping by. Audacity is in the DAW. It's an audio editor. Fair, yeah, that's true. Yeah. No, yeah, fair enough. In theory, that's basically you need to record the audio mix somehow with effects. Now that the lines of what it is are very blurry. Yeah, I'd agree with P Mouse here. It's you can do multi-track stuff. You can have VSTs. I mean, you can do a lot of. It's a very lightweight DAW, but I would consider it now at this stage a DAW, more than just an audio editor. Because, I mean, if you can multi-track record, or if you can have multi-track arrangements of most of your instruments and just edit them in that sense, pan level them, master mix, and have VST effects, I mean, this is a DAW, you know. And granted, you might not be able to record multiple instruments at once, but for this kind of setup, for what I do, you don't need that anyway. Shit, maybe I need to move back to Audacity. Deathberry PS4 says, okay. Arduino is not powerful enough to do the DSP part. Fair enough. Yeah, the timing would probably be an issue. Fair enough. God, folks, I think my voice is starting to go. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone, who joined in. I mean, if you have more questions, just fire them away, or any more comments. Terrible Fire, you love the music. Thank you very much, Jude. Thanks for stopping by. But yeah, I think this is the idea behind all these chats. And every time I do one, I say I'm going to do one in 2 months, and 2 or 3 months pass, and a couple of months happens really fast in my life at the moment. So I'll say it to your place. What's that, Nico? But yeah, so apologies. It took a while to do another one of these, and usually I don't save them. I put them on the. I have another channel where I put all these, so I'll put it afterward. I'll tweet where the video is, but it's I'm gonna try and do another one in 2 months. I don't want to flood the channel with this, but don't forget, I'm on Twitch quite a bit these days. So let me get the link to Twitch again. So I'm there quite a bit now, just editing whenever I edit videos, or I compose stuff. Like recently, I was composing that music for the. Oh, actually, I said I would show you those Venture stuff. So Venture, if you don't know, it's you probably don't know. It's Outside Xbox is a big channel. It's a big channel. It's a UK based channel, and they do a lot of obviously Xbox stuff and just gaming. It's a gaming channel, and they also have a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. So recently they were asking me if I'd be interested in doing a new jingle for their podcast. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. So this, it was a paid commission, and they didn't quite have directions. They wanted something medievally and piratey and Dungeons and Dragony and that kind of stuff. These were the directions. So I was like, okay, well, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons. For me, it was always a mix of just Celtic and Eastern influences, like sort of Conan meets Lord of the Rings, that kind of stuff. So I did a first tune that was it. No, that wasn't it. Where was it? That was it. No, but it was stuff like that. Oh yeah, that was the first test. So I did the first test with sort of Eastern kind of stuff, and so this is why I sent them. It was simple enough. Could you hear that, actually, by the way? I'm not sure if you could hear it. But so that was my idea, just something Eastern-y and just and yeah, for me, this was my idea of Dungeons and Dragons. They came back, they said, oh no, we love it, but not quite what we have in mind, and they wanted something more friendly tavern. That was the guideline: friendly tavern and piratey and that kind of stuff. So I ended up there was a few trial back and forth, and I ended up doing something very sort of Irish-y in that sense, which wouldn't be my preference, but this is what they wanted to go for. So this is so yeah, used the Banjo was a lot more prominent, and it was very sort of Irishy, Celtic-y, Gamalia type of stuff, and like I said, it wouldn't be my preference, but that's what they wanted. And on that sort of major chord just to open the podcast, and the and podcast, which was, that's a bit OTT. Absolutely, I do agree, but that's what they wanted. So so the and theme, I did a lot of stuff for the and theme. I had this first. and they liked it, but they actually they wanted the intro theme to repeat somehow. So that's what I had to do, and this is where is it? I ended up just taking the intro theme, just having a little build up. It just took weeks and months, but this is what. So it's pretty much the same theme, slightly different chord progression, and on that minor chord just to close the podcast. It's interesting because we went around and around. There was a lot of ideas exchange. I hear a dozen different version of that file, but I think still my preferred one was that first one. Yeah, it's not as cliche, but if they want something cliche, that's what they wanted, and that's what they got. But it was actually very interesting. It took weeks and weeks and weeks to do a lot of ideas or exchange back and forth. It was actually very, very interesting. But this kind of stuff, my initial point was not to show this, but it was actually to show people this is what I did on Twitch. I did a lot of this stuff live on Twitch, and it's probably gone by now, but this is the type of stuff I do on Twitch. So if you want to subscribe on Twitch, here's the link again. I really appreciate that, and that's your kind of thing. There's a bit of back in the future in that maybe. What was this going to be used for? It was for the Dungeons and Dragons podcast, or it will be used for Dungeons and Dragons podcast. Nice hat, Bard. How are you doing, dude? Nice to see you again. I was just essentially pretty much finishing here. Yeah, nice hat. Thank you very much. Is that you that got one recently? Somebody bought one, and I can't find out who it was. But anyway, Bard. Yeah, I don't have that here. It's YouTube. I can't do it on YouTube. It's actually funny. As soon as you know that Irish Celtic music, some Middle East influences, you always hear it back. Hey, Bard. Yeah, well, it depends which type of Celtic music. Irish music doesn't have that much Eastern influence, but stuff like Breton music certainly does. But I mean, most European music has influences that cross all over the continent and into Africa as well. Like a lot of reed instruments aren't native to Europe, and the bagpipe certainly is a reed instrument. So it's interesting. In that first version, I used a lot of Eastern influence in it, and there's the hurdy-gurdy, and then there's that bagpipe and that kind of stuff. But the percussions were the darbuka. It certainly is not European in any sense, or Celtic. They wanted something very Irish, very piratey and that kind of stuff, so that's what they got. Anyway, I'm repeating myself, folks. Thank you very much for dropping by. Unless you have any more questions, I think it's not a bad place to end it. An hour and 14 minutes of just me chatting to to my screen. But thank you very much. There probably won't be a cover on Wednesday next week. I think I have a video of I have a video of all my composition, like that EP I released a while back, and I made a video with all the tunes in it, and some cool illustrations or animations by my friend Mr. Biscott, which was actually what you saw in the intro of this video. But I don't think I released it. I want to have a couple of more covers before I release that, so it probably will be next month. So I don't think there'll be a video next week, and but after that, I'll be back to making covers. And do keep an eye on Norm, the gaming historian. There'll be music in there as well, and hopefully we'll work on it again in the future together. So I think he's keen on doing that. So that's great. But folks, thank you for joining. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for the questions, and I'll see you soon. Have a good night.